Receive, Lord, receive all I have and possess.
Welcome to Listening to Catholic Women, a special series sponsored by the Archdiocese of Boston. Each week, join Bishop Mark O'Connell as he engages in heartfelt conversations with inspiring Catholic women. Together, we'll hear about their faith journeys and how they live out God's call in their lives. Stay with us for an uplifting journey of reflection and inspiration.
Give me only your love and your grace. That's enough for me.
Hello and welcome to Listening to Catholic Women. I'm Bishop Mark O'Connell. Today, I'm with Hilda Pires, who is let me get it right, the local coordinator of the Shalom community in the Archdiocese of Boston. So we are going to discover what that means, the Shalom community, and to be a coordinator. But you are a woman who has taken vows, and you grew up in Brazil.
Yes.
And so think of a 13-year-old girl in Brazil. Could she have imagined that you were the local coordinator of Shalom with a woman who's committed her whole life to Jesus?
Not at all.
So how did you get from there to here?
Yeah, so I was raised Catholic. I was baptized. I went through my first communion, but then I left the faith. And throughout my teenager years, my adolescence, I was far from the church, from God. I didn't really care about this. And I'm one of seven. And my mom, she's very Catholic. So she was trying to push me, your confirmation. I was like, I'm not doing this. And it wasn't until I was 17 and a friend of mine invited me for a retreat, which was a Life in the Spirit seminar organized by the Shalom community in my hometown. I had no idea what it was about. I thought it was something that sounded to be something fun for the weekend. And I was like, yeah, why not? Something different. I'm going to meet new people. I'm in. So I went there, and that retreat changed my life forever.
So it's a Life in the Spirit seminar in Brazil.
In Brazil.
By a community you didn't know anything about called Shalom.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had no idea.
So how did it change your life?
In that retreat, Bishop, it was when I had my first encounter with the person of Jesus. I didn't know what adoration was. It was my first moment of adoration. I remember the priest coming in with Jesus, with the Eucharist and the monstrance, and people were kneeling. I was like, what's going on? Why people are kneeling? So I knelt because I don't want to be different from everybody else. And then while the prayer was being led with that adoration, I think the Holy Spirit reminded me, it clicked in my memory, the moments that I used to go to Mass with my mom, with my grandma, and the priest doing, the elevation. And then I was like, wait a minute, that's Jesus? He's alive? I can have a relationship with him? That's crazy. But if it is true, I want to know. I don't want to miss it. It was the first time that I really opened my heart to the divine, to God. And I remember making this prayer in my heart saying, if it is true, I need to believe now. And someone came and prayed over me. It was very simple, but very deep. At that moment, I was so overwhelmed with love, joy, and I was crying. I was like, why am I crying? I'm just so happy, and seeing the testimonies and the joy that the missionaries had. And I was like, I thought church was a place for old people, kids, or if you're going through a really hard time, like depression, which wasn't my case. And I was like, I didn't know there was such a thing. Like, if have faith is live like this, I want this. Whatever they have, I want that. And after that, I started to attend to the prayer groups and to learn how to develop my relationship with God and learning about the Catholic faith and learning about so many things that I didn't know. It was, I wasn't the same.
Okay, we're going to go to what happened after. I'm curious about what happened. Like, you go home from the retreat. You
Yeah.
were this person who was not going to church. Your mother is, what was your father's in his faith?
He's not a religious person. He was baptized
I
in a
see.
Catholic church, but he
Okay.
didn't practice anything.
So you go home this changed person. What was that like?
When I came back home, I actually was late because we were hanging out, we were celebrating, and I didn't let my mom know because I was so involved in that retreat, in that moment, in the new friendships. And then when I got back home, my mom was like mad at me. I was like, Hilda, the city's dangerous and it's 10:30 p.m. You crazy? I was about to call the police or something like that. And I was like, Mom, listen. God loves me.
Oh, that's great.
And
What
then
did she
was
say to
like,
that?
she thought that I was like playing with her, Hilda, it's late, you should not do this. And then I was like, Mom, you didn't hear that. God loves me. And then my sister was passing by, she goes like, Hilda, God loves everybody. And I was like, no, you don't understand. He loves me.
Yeah.
And they look at me like, that's weird. And I want to go to church the other day. I want to read the Bible. And I was like, I don't know how to do it, but I was so thirst for that newness that came into my life that I didn't know. And I remember having the feeling very grateful to experience that. But also I felt like I've wasted 17 years of my life already. I don't want to waste it anymore. Like I want it all. I want to know more. I want to live with that, whatever is the newness that awaits for me.
Yeah. So there might be people listening that find that quite a leap from not going and not really caring to proclaiming Jesus. How about your friends? Did they find it strange too?
Yes. They found it very strange.
Did you get any of them into the church and into Shalom?
Two of them, but they thought it was like something brainwashed me, something like it was. They were like,
Yeah.
What's going on? I was like, guys, God is real. and yeah, I didn't want to go to the same place that we used to go. I was finishing high school at that time. And usually I was one of those who were organizing the parties.
Mm-hmm.
And the weekend after, there was a party that I was organizing. And I was like, how am I going to run this party now? I don't want it anymore. But I went there because I had this commitment. And I remember being at that party and it was like so boring because usually we would have those kind of parties just to fill up like this emptiness in our heart, but with things that would make us more empty, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. So, okay, so now you're into the Shalom community. I assume you went back. How did you can't be on the mountaintop forever? In other words, that was a high experience, like being on Mount Tabor. But Jesus led them down the mountain. So how did that progress for you, your faith, from that high moment? How did it go from there?
Then as I was mentioning, I started to learn how to develop my relationship with God, and how can I keep that? I didn't want to lose that, and I remember learning that I was like, I'm gonna wait a week to go to mass again. I had no idea there was a daily mass, for example. Right. And when I learned, I was like, what? I can have it every day? Of course I'm going. And but of course there are things like the world around me did not change. The challenges that I had, they didn't disappear.
Right.
But now I had that feeling of like, I'm not alone. I'm not alone. And I have dealt with this loneliness or this desire of not being afraid of being alone. And that didn't go away immediately, but I remember the comfort that would come from this certainty that there is someone there. And the new friends that I was making, because I need to make a decision. I didn't want to go to the same parties. I didn't want to have fun in the same way, because now I found a great way to have fun,
Great.
And it was hard, but it was good to fight for it, if that makes sense.
So now I think we should do a little time explaining what Shalom is. This is the community that you went to the Life in the Spirit seminar with, and who
Correct.
you are now a coordinator for here in another country. So give me the couple of minutes. What is Shalom?
Shalom community it's a new community that started in Brazil 43 years ago, with this desire that the founder had in his heart to offer his life and his youth for the evangelization of those who are far from God and from the church.
And the founder's name is?
Moisés Azevedo.
Okay. And Moises, I think it's important to tell that story of him and the Pope.
Yes.
Okay.
And the Pope John Paul II was visiting Brazil for the Eucharistic Congress. And the Archbishop of Fortaleza chose him to offer a gift on behalf of all the young people in the Archdiocese of Fortaleza. And when he learned this, he was like, what am I going to give to the Pope? And the Archbishop told him, you pray about it. I don't know, but you'll be giving a gift on behalf of all the young people. And he prayed, and the inspiration that came to his heart was he wrote a letter offering his life, his youth, for the evangelization of every man and women that were far from God and from the church. So at Mass, in the moment of the offertory, it was the moment that he went to present this gift. And he said that after that meeting with the Pope, his heart was restless. How can I make this offering concrete? So he came up with an idea 2 years later, with an idea to have a cafe to evangelize with the chapel and the Blessed Sacrament behind it.
So a cafe, like a coffee shop.
A coffee shop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because there were many friends that he had that he thought they would not come to a prayer group. They will not come to Mass. They will not come to church. But how can I share my faith with them? So he had this inspiration, and he thought there would be something only while they were in vacation from college to have this tryout. But then what God wanted was something greater that was coming up, that he said that he is innocent. He says, I never wanted to create any community. I just wanted to evangelize my friends during my vacation.
Mm-hmm.
And that inspiration, later on, it is what now we know as the Shalom community that started in Brazil, but now is spread all over the world, Africa, Europe, Asia, South America, here in the United States. Boston was the first mission in the United States.
And you are one of the first people that came.
Yes, I was.
So that was how many years ago?
10 years ago.
So for 10 years, you have been coordinating the Shalom community and starting it here in the Archdiocese of Boston.
Yeah.
And so you're the one running those Life in the Spirit retreats.
Yeah, exactly.
And your place is Cambridge.
In Cambridge.
Yeah. So I'm sure there's people want to find out more about Shalom can go to what website?
Shalom.com.
So Shalom.com.
Social media, Shalom Boston, either Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah, and we'll put those links in our notes. But, okay, so how does it get from a person who got inspired by Jesus to being missioned to Boston? How did that happen?
Yes. So in my journey, I felt in my heart that I was thirsty for more. It wasn't enough going to church, participating in the prayer groups, serving. I needed more, and I didn't know what this more would be. until when I heard about vocation. There are many vocations in the church, and that the Shalom community is a vocation in the church, and the vocational opening meeting. And then I was like, okay, I want to find out what is my vocation. If God is calling me to something else, I want to know what it is. After that, I went off to my first missionary experience when I was 18, still in Brazil, but in another state. And there I really identified myself with the mission, with the life, the community life, the life of prayer, and the life of evangelization. And then I thought to myself, I think God created me for this. This is amazing. To live 24/7 for this. That's what I really want. It's interesting because I remember when I was explaining to my dad, because he was completely against at first.
Yeah.
I was explaining to him, Dad, I'm going to live poverty, chastity, obedience. And he goes like, obedience? You don't want to obey here in this house. You are going to obey strangers? And I was like, he's right. Because he knew me, growing up, that desire of independence and everything. But then, as a missionary, I was growing in this decision, later on making vows, taking promises. And then in 2014, I was assigned to come to Boston.
Okay, so somebody hears chastity, poverty, obedience. They think, is this a religious sister? Are you a religious sister, Hilda?
No.
So you're in a lay movement.
Yes.
But you've committed your life to this.
Yes.
Is that the best way to describe it, or is there another way of describing your vows?
I think it's a good way to describe it. And the difference, people are like, so you are a nun. I was like, you could say that we made pretty much the same vows, but we live in a different way. How? Our life, we have, in our community, we have the 3 states of life that they share the same charism. That's a little different from religious orders. So we have celibate people, we have priests, we have families, single people, those who are discerning their state of life. But all of us, we share the same vocation. So we have a community life. We pray together. We evangelize together. And we have this, let's say, intense community life.
And your primary audience for the evangelization is young adults, is that right?
Yeah.
And so in Cambridge, there's a community which you're a part of, or you're a coordinator for, with Father Eddie. There's a priest there, right?
Yes, correct.
And you run the retreats, and you have a young adult church. Is that fair enough, or is it all ages there?
This is fair enough. Even though we are open to all ages, we have some seniors here and there. We have kids from the families, the young families that have been formed throughout those 10 years. But the primacy of our action is the youth, like the young people.
Yeah. That's who you're trying to turn on, like you were turned on. So, right?
Yes, exactly.
So I also visited the Shalom camp. What's it called? Camps?
A camps.
A camps. Is that right?
That's
and
correct.
So once a year you have a large gathering of young adults. Is that right? And
this is right.
And I found a lot of young people turned on at this camp.
Yeah.
So
there were some people that they didn't have a Christian background.
Yeah.
One of them, she recently, 3 weeks ago, she mentioned in her testimony, there was like the jubilee of her soul because she received all the sacraments, matrimony, baptism, confirmation, the Eucharist. And it was so beautiful to see, she's Chinese, how someone that was raised with Buddhism but never engaged in any matter of religion, having like first encountered the community, and this, like, she felt so welcomed, and then she was curious about what is that we share in common. And then in this retreat, a camp, she had her encounter with the Eucharist. It was so beautiful to see and to hear. And I was in awe too. And yeah,
So this,
it's beautiful.
I just want to make sure that people know that here in Boston, your primary language is English, not
English.
Brazilian.
Yes.
Yeah, because so it is a movement that started in Brazil, but it's a worldwide thing. Am I saying that correctly?
Yes, we are International Association of the Faithful.
International Association of the Faithful,
Yeah,
and 43 years old.
43, so young.
The movement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so now we know what you're doing and how you got here, which is we could talk a lot about that, but I want to talk to you just as a woman of faith. You're a leader in your church. I've heard you preach more than once, but not at the homily time. But like in your mass, there's a forward to the readings. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I've heard you beautifully preach in the mass. What's that like to be a leader of faith among for young people?
It's really, I would say that it's like an adventure that you go to with Jesus, because I never felt ready, prepared, like I have what it takes. I have experienced that also. I was learning on the way, and learning that I've found so many gifts that I didn't know that I had. So if someone would ask me, I would say no, because I don't know. I've never done this. I've never done that. But with the need of the mission and the request of the community and this desire to offer my life, yes. Why I would say no? Just because I don't know, I'm gonna learn.
Yeah.
And it's so beautiful to see that I've learned that to be a leader, it's not someone that knows everything, but with God, we learn a lot on the way, and it's really good to be able to lead them to Jesus. I think that's the key point, to Jesus, and it's his people. It's not like my people. It's his people. At the end of the day, in my prayer, in the night prayer, in the revision of life, Jesus is yours. This or that is more challenging, or of course there are many challenges, but that gives confidence and um, fervor, desire to lead them to Jesus.
How has your relationship to Christ matured over the years since you went to that retreat to now here talking to me?
I think I came from having Jesus as some historical figure. There are some stories telling about him to this point, which is like it's a person, and it's a divine person that loves me with a human heart, which is amazing. And turning to God in many times in my life throughout this journey since I've met Jesus, turning to him in difficult times, turning to him when I thought I need to go back to take care of my family. My mom, when I was so young, she had depression. And after I left, she was so sad because I left that she told me, Hilda, I was praying the rosary for you because I really want you to come back to the faith. But I didn't want Mary to take you away from me, you know?
Right.
And there was a moment that I thought that she would fall again into have a depression again. And I thought by myself, do I need to go back? It was really hard for me in praying, having those moments with God that I don't know how to explain, but there is a peace that is established in a deep way that it was hard for me, but I knew that was the right thing to do.
Got it.
If that makes sense.
It does. Yeah. So tell me a moment in your life where you had a powerful experience of God and that you knew you were loved?
Oh, this is a great question, Bishop.
Thank you.
Because there are many moments, but one that I would like to share. Well, yeah, I didn't know that I would struggle, that I would have like a fatherly wound, because I didn't know my father, my biological father.
So a fatherly wound. So a wound was
From
from your relationship with your father.
Yeah,
Okay.
who I've never met.
Oh.
So for me, it was fine. I had my stepfather. I love him so much.
Yes.
So I didn't know that by the fact that my biological father pretty much abandoned me and my mom, even though I've never met him. But that created a wound in my heart that I didn't know. And it wasn't until it was during a healing retreat that I was going through my life, my story of life. And in that retreat, I understood. It was so beautiful, even though it was painful to notice, but it was so beautiful to see how God was healing that. And I noticed that there was this deep wound and fear of rejection would come from that, from someone that I had no memories about, that I've never even met.
Yeah.
But thinking about looking for him or something like that would bring to my heart a feeling of anger. I'll be angry about him. I was like, I don't want to know anything about him. He abandoned me. His problem.
Right.
I'm good. I have my dad and I have God. But it was hard also to have a relationship with God the Father, knowing like that he takes care of me. And I didn't know why until that moment. And I know that God was healing my heart, because it came this desire.
Mhm.
Okay, why don't I look for him? Just to look him in the eyes and just to tell him that, I've met Jesus, that I don't have anything against him. I was thinking that, I don't know, in the moment of his death, that might be good for him to know that I'm okay, and, to not die with that in his heart. And as I was thinking about it, I was like, I was healed, because now I had this desire to look for him and to tell him that I forgive him. And so,
Did you find him?
no, almost.
Yeah.
Happened that he was living in Fortaleza,
Yeah.
the city where the community started.
Right.
And I was passing by for many retreats there, and one of the passing bys, I ended up finding his phone number, because he was a pastor of a Protestant church.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like easier to find that out. And the dad of my friend, who was a missionary as well, he was the one that called, because I was freaking out, I was like, I'm not gonna call, I don't know what to do. And then he called, it wasn't the speaker, and he was like, hello, is this? He was like, yes. And he was like, so what is the church that you are in charge of? I would like to come, and I have someone that I would like to bring with me for you to meet. And then he asks, who is this person? Has a name? And he goes, yes, her name is Hilda. And he was in silence for like 5 seconds. And then he goes like, you know what? Don't bring this person here, because it's part of my past. And then he hung up. And after that, I was like, okay, I think I did my part. But I was kind of like mad. I was mad now with God, and I was mad because of the situation.
Yeah.
And then the dad of my friend, his words of wisdom, I truly believe it was, because he was like, Hilda, but you don't know what he was thinking. He doesn't know you. Maybe he thought that you were looking for your inheritance or like causing trouble. Maybe he never talked about this child. So I get him. And recently, this year, I learned that he passed away about 6 years ago. And in this Jubilee, when I was visiting a Jubilee site, the shrine in Lowell.
Yes.
I had this desire in my heart to, so I went to confession there, and I want to offer that indulgence for someone. And then it came to my heart, why don't you offer up for him? And it was so beautiful because that gave me this feeling of peace. And I was like, maybe one day I'm gonna hug him in heaven. But this, only God could do it. I would not want to go. I would not be willing to go through those memories or, yeah.
Yeah.
But with him, I was even able to pray for him and to have this hope one day to meet him in heaven.
How about forgiveness?
That's hard. It's
Yeah.
not easy, especially when you were wounded,
Yeah.
because you feel the pain. You may not know which wound it is, but you know the pain. You know that something there is hurting. And to forgive, I've learned that to forgive doesn't mean to forget,
Mm.
but it means to set the person free inside of your heart. Because when we hold to anything that doesn't allow, or I'm not willing to forgive, it's like I want to revenge somehow.
Mhm.
And that poisons our hearts and lead us to a horrible life.
Yeah.
And when we are willing to set the person free inside of our hearts, it's such a relief and it's such a peace that is established. And it's beautiful and it's amazing because I would not make that up. I would
Well-
not be able to make it up for myself.
Well, I think I fully get it, but I like the expression you're using, set the person free inside my heart.
Mm.
How would you say that a different way for someone who's listening to this and never met their father?
Maybe you are like I was, thinking that you have figured out everything in your life and you were better off without him, without knowing him,
Yeah.
and you don't really care what's happening, or even thinking that you don't carry any wound because you're just, you
Yeah.
got everything well in your life and you were working hard.
It seems you've settled that wound somehow.
Yeah.
So your expression is it setting the person free in your heart or setting your heart free from the person? What, or is it the same thing?
I think it's setting my heart free
From that.
from that desire to revenge somehow.
Yeah. 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 Because, if we're going to be people who follow Jesus, we have to be set free.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
And I remember asking to be healed from this wound.
yeah.
And I learned that God could heal me anytime that He wanted. But it's important for me to know, to be aware, and to engage my will, to engage myself, like asking Him specifically for
Yeah.
that.
Now, as a leader of all the young adults in the Shalom community, you must see a lot of wounded young people.
For sure.
Yeah, and so I'm sure you share your own journey, but that must be a lot for you to. A lot of people come to you lonely. They come to you wounded. They come to you. Some of them just come looking for peace, but your community helps a lot of people that way. Am I wrong?
Yeah, you're right. And we are, all of us, wounded somehow by sin.
Mm-hmm.
But the difference is that I know that I have a Savior. I know who I can turn to. And so many times, so often, people don't know. Usually when they come to us, they're looking for peace. They are looking for deliverance. They are looking for healing, even though without knowing or without naming. Looking for joy, for meaning. And I think the greatest wound now in these days is loneliness. Many people, they may have many achievements. We have a lot of students, but without all the achievements, they don't mean that much if
Mhm.
you don't have the essential, if you don't have a greater meaning or why, even why to seek that career. Or so it's really beautiful to see how God uses us, even though we are also wounded, we are weak as I am, but
Mhm.
I am amazed by the way that God, He really likes to work with, small and weak people, so He can manifest His grace,
Yeah.
because it's truly like His grace.
Yeah.
It's not on me, or it's not what I do. You know what I mean?
I do. When I come to your community, I see them there, and you do a lot with music, music ministry in the
That's
Shalom
true.
community, and I see the ones that are new and tight, and the ones that literally let go with their arms.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful to see the evolution.
Hmm.
You must have been just like that as a 17-year-old,
Yes.
walking in and say, "What's this?"
What should I do? How do I behave?
Yeah,
What is the meaning of?
yeah.
Yeah.
But there is a kind of release with new faith.
Hmm.
When you trust God, you literally open, and I see that there. You must witness that all the time.
Yes. And the way it's beautiful also to see, as people grow in their faith, each one of them in their own uniqueness, um, but how they get also from being, as you mentioned, like tied to this freer day by day, um, facing the ups and downs in their life,
Hmm.
but growing in that relationship, knowing that there is a person
There's a person,
there.
and that person is embodied in the community.
Mm-hmm.
Community is very important for faith. Uh, Shalom is a community of persons, and
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to be uh, turned on to Jesus by yourself.
Yes.
So what you all offer to me is a community of equally seeking people,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, which impresses me. Yeah. So Hilda, where are you most at peace with you just where's peace for you?
We joke within the community, brothers and sisters. We joke saying Jesus is our peace, but He doesn't leave us alone. It's not this peace of like nothing's happening, because always there is something happening.
Right.
We are like,
Yeah.
but that peace I find not only when I'm praying, but when I'm praying, definitely, but also going through the journey of the day, in the community life, in the challenges of the mission. I find that peace anytime that I'm working, but then that challenge is happening, and I'm like, God, what do you want of me in this situation? And that question brings me to that presence inside of me, and that gives me peace.
Hmm. Beautiful.
Because I'm more reactive of a person, impulsive. So it's a long journey to understand, okay, my impulse, they should not um, lead me. It should be otherwise. I need to get them and lead them. But it's hard when something happens, or, when in a community life, let's say someone gets in your nerve, and then, okay, but what God wants of me, allowing me to live this situation, or things like that, and this it brings me peace.
Any thoughts that you want to share of your observations of women in the church? That's a big subject, but uh, eh, from your perspective as a leader in your community, is there anything you want to say on that?
Yeah, that would be many things, but one thing that comes to my heart right now is to understand that to find our place in the church and to find our place in the world, we don't need to compete with with men, which is something that happens a lot in society. And I growing up, I grew up with that environment in my school, especially.
Mm-hmm.
But knowing that as a woman, as a person like Hilda, but as a woman, I have this uniqueness that is given by God, and I can find my place within the church and even being a leader without compete or need to show that I can do this or I can do that. It's not a matter of that. So, and I truly believe that the relationship with Jesus, it leads you to that.
Well, I've seen you in action. You're a very confident leader. You're respected by your community. Why don't you just speak now as we come near the close of this? Speak to someone who is intrigued by the Shalom community and intrigued by you and by your conversion and your beautiful spirit, who may be not in the church, but looking in the door. Mm-hmm. Is there anything you want to say to that person? Let's pretend it's a young woman. What do you want to say to her?
I would like to say, I don't know what you were looking for. It might be achievement in your career. It might be love. It might be, I don't know where you are at right now in your life, but give it a chance to Jesus. If you don't believe, seek for the truth inside of your heart, because I'm pretty sure that God will find a way to speak to your heart as he found a way to speak to my heart. If he spoke to my heart, that I was really my heart was really hard, I truly believe that he can speak to any heart as long as you give a chance. So you don't have anything to lose. Turn it to him. So why not try out?
Well, I hope that young woman or whoever, maybe it's a young man, will listen. And the Shalom community in Cambridge is a real place to try it out. It's a real place to enter, and people will know that you're new and won't judge you and will welcome you. Is that right? It's a welcoming community.
Yeah. And we also have many other activities that you can come and you can meet other people from many different nationalities and experience this environment of a community. So why not try it out?
And there's Shalom communities in all over the United States. I think you said they're big in New York, they're big in Florida, right? Mm-hmm. So, and other places in the world. So you're an excellent spokesperson for them, but most importantly, you're a spokesperson for Jesus. And I thank you for that, Hilda.
Thank you so much, Bishop.
Your love and your grace are enough for me.
Thank you for joining us on Listening to Catholic Women. We're grateful you took the time to hear this inspiring faith journey. Continue exploring these powerful stories with Bishop Mark O'Connell by watching more episodes. This series is sponsored by the Archdiocese of Boston and produced by Emma Lula Creative. Please like, subscribe, and share to spread the word. If you'd like to support the production of this series, visit the link in the description. Until next time, may God bless you.